Back in the early 90s, when I was really starting to work on my bass playing, I went to see a friend of mine who was a much more advanced player, and he gave me one simple trick that really changed my bass tone, and that tip I think about all the time, still playing. In just 10 minutes, he enabled me to change my bass sound from a weak sounding tone to a much fuller, fatter bass tone. So in this lesson today, I'm going to show you exactly what he showed me. This is going to be a really short lesson because I just want you to take away this one technique and work on it in your bass practice. If you do that, then you'll change your tone to be much fuller and fatter. There'll be some exercises that you can use to work on. I've put these all on a PDF. You can get that for free in tab and standard notation by clicking the link below this video in the description. If you're a beginner or intermediate bass player, then you can start using this straight away and incorporate it into your bass playing. Now what I'm talking about here is how you strike the note with your plucking finger. So listen to this first of all. Now listen to this. So I'll do that again, first time. Second time. Now hopefully you notice that the second time was a much fuller tone. Now you really need headphones or good decent speakers to hear the difference, and this raises a really important issue about your bass playing. If you play through a loud amp or a PA, small changes make a massive difference. So you might think, oh well, there's kind of just a subtle difference here, it's not really that important. And if you're like me, you probably practice at home using sort of in-ears or headphones or just playing your bass quietly. But it makes a huge difference through a PA at a gig. Just a slightly different attack or a bit more tone makes a big difference. So small gains in the practice room can make massive gains when you're playing live and when you're playing loud. So what was I doing to make this tone difference? Well, it's quite subtle really, but I'm using the pad of my finger and I'm stroking across the string rather than plucking outwards. So this is kind of plucking outwards here. Like that. What I'm doing is I'm stroking the string and using the pads of my fingers. Now, because you're using the pads, you get it's a kind of bigger surface area, you get a much fatter sound, and you're stroking across the string, so you're just getting the most out of the string rather than kind of plucking outwards. Now, if you're slapping and you pluck, you do pluck outwards. But if you want a fat tone, especially if you're playing longer notes or playing ballads, then you want to use this technique. Use the flesh of your finger and stroke across the string. So what we're going to do now is practice this technique. So you need to just do it slowly, okay? So we're starting on the A string on a D, so 5th fret. Just pluck that slowly with your first finger. But really focus on using the pads and stroking the string. And you're doing a rest stroke as well, so you're landing on the string below. So just try that slowly yourself, just focusing on what your plucking finger is doing. So this brings us on to our first exercise, exercise 1 on the PDF. So what I want you to do is we're just going to really not think that much about the left hand, we're just going to play the 5th fret of each string. And we're going to use our first finger on the A string, on the D string, on the G string. Okay, and just really focus on this plucking finger. Then you can just try it with your second finger. Okay, now that might be a bit of a weaker finger for some of you, but it's a really good idea to get used to using your second finger on your plucking hand too. Now for all these exercises I've put a target tempo. This one's 90 beats per minute, but just start slowly. You don't even need to use a metronome first of all, and then work your way up to 90. If you're comfortable, you can go even faster. But that's a kind of nice target tempo to use to really focus and work on your plucking finger. Now on exercise 2, we're going to do a similar thing, but we're just using 8th notes, and we're going to use alternate fingering, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so on the A first, the 5th fret of the E string. Okay, and you'll notice repeat marks as well on all these exercises, so you can repeat them as many times as you need to. And these are good warm-ups as well. Exercise 3, we're going to do octaves, and these are good because you're skipping strings. Okay, so you still think about this focus of stroking the string. So it's easy on octaves to start really plucking outwards, but try to focus on stroking the string and using the pads of your fingers. So we're just starting on G, the 3rd fret of the E string, and we're playing the octave, which is the 5th fret of the D string, okay? And then move to C, move to D, back to C, down to G. Okay, so if I play that a bit faster. And then you can just repeat that round and round. So that's exercise 3. The target tempo is 80 beats per minute for that. And now for exercise 4, we're just making it a little bit more tricky. We're just got a bit of a pattern here. Okay, so just use 1. I use down here, I use 1 and in my left hand 1 and 4. You can use 1 and 3. Okay, so and then shift everything up the fret. Shift everything up the fret again. Back down the fret. And then you can kind of repeat the whole exercise again. So that's really good because again, when you're thinking about your left hand now, you might start to creep and you might start to pluck out a bit. So kind of get that pattern worked out. And then think about your right hand when you're doing this. I just wanted to show you this one technique. It can make a massive difference. I still think about this all the time when I'm playing, when I'm thinking about tone, and you should be as well. So when you're playing bass, sometimes it's kind of a bit of a struggle to get all the notes out, especially if it's something a bit technical and fast. So we stop thinking about tone, but you should always think about tone, about the sound that you're making. That's the kind of end game really, and it's kind of easy to forget that, but just think about sound and tone the whole time when you're practicing and when you're playing. If you haven't already picked up my Tone Masterclass PDF, you can get that on the homepage of my website, gbshed.com. So that's just kind of different exercises and a bit of a masterclass on how to work on your tone. It will incorporate some of this idea and different ideas and how to set up your bass and your amp. And just it's a quick masterclass, really just to help you to think about and work on your bass tone. Now I've also made a video mini course on this Tone Masterclass PDF. I'm often running promotions on that. You can use the code 50OFF if you want to get 50% off. So just check that now. Depending on when you view this video, there might be a promotion on, and the link again is below this video, and it's still at that price at 50% off. So if you're a beginner or an intermediate that hasn't really kind of worked on thinking about tone and plucking hands, that kind of thing, and setting up your bass, then you'll find that really useful. But check out the PDF first, and then if you want to get the course, the link is also below in the description. I'd love to hear how you got on with this lesson, whether it was a kind of real kind of aha moment for you, or whether you kind of play this way already. Just let me know in the comments below, and if you've got any other tips that you've found that have been useful when you've started to work on your tone, I'd love to hear all those, so put them below in the comments. And to help me out, you can like this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my Greg's Bass Shed channel by clicking the red subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. If you want more free bass resources and video courses and books and merch, then you can head over to my website. That's gbshed.com. This is Greg from Greg's Bass Shed. Hopefully see you very soon in the next video lesson.